Hey, what is going on, guys? My name is DFree and welcome back to the channel. Today I am not alone. I am joined by the one and only World King Kanji. Say what's good, man. How are you doing?
I am damn good, bro. Cheers for having me on the channel. It's great to be here today.
No worries, guys. This is definitely World King Kanji's first time on the channel here, so show him some love. Go ahead and hit his link up in the description and give him a subscription over there. He does a lot of awesome Dragon Ball content. But today's purpose of the video is we're going to be talking about the God hierarchy in Dragon Ball and what we can kind of make of it so far. Now, spoiler alert for the latest episode of Dragon Ball Super, episode 41 at this point. 42 is not out, but maybe when you see this, it will be. But anyways, we're talking about 41 exclusively at this point. So if you haven't seen it, go check it out. Come back to this video, yada, 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 all that other good stuff. So basically, in that episode, we were introduced to Zeno, who is the Omni King, the king of all of the universes. And it's just like, okay, this little itty bitty guy is the god of gods, you know, the man of men, you know what I'm saying? So this guy stands above everybody else. And that was an interesting thing that they kind of did that, because we kind of thought that it was the Vados and Whis type of characters, because, you know, they were kind of like omnipotent. They were just beings that we never really got any context to. So to say that they're really not as high as it gets, but there's a guy that's kind of above them and the gods of destruction, can get kind of outlandish. Now, Kanji, I just wanted to get your thoughts here. Do you think that the hierarchy in Dragon Ball is getting a little bit convoluted? Because, you know, we start off with the Guardians of Earth, according to the dub, but yes, Dende and Kami, those guys are the gods of Earth. They're godly beings. And then we move on to the North Kai, South Kai, all those guys. Then we move on to the Grand Kai, then the Supreme Kais, and then we move on to Gods of Destructions, and then the Vados and Whis are in there somewhere, and now we've got Zeno, boom, at the top. Do you think it's getting kind of convoluted at this point?
Oh man, do I think it's being convoluted? It's been played out ever since the beginning, man. I mean, like, you know, just at the beginning of Dragon Ball Z, because obviously we were introduced to Kami in Dragon Ball, but in Dragon Ball Z, when they started to go a little bit further with it, we knew that it was that they were pretty much going to write themselves into a corner from the get-go, considering the fact that Kami is a literal translation to God. So as soon as they tried to introduce someone higher than that, it was kind of like, all right. But obviously then, I mean, obviously taken to King Yema and then to King Kai, and then as you've already gone through, it's just crazy the amount that they've piled it on top, and they've really milked this thing for all it's worth. And to think that almost like, you know, what, almost like 20 years later, they're still milking the exact same concept that they'd introduced that time ago is just unbelievable. But, you know, they've kept it going for this long, so who am I to argue?
Yeah, no, definitely. I think that they've just really just got a lot going on there. And the term God is used very loosely in Dragon Ball, or just in Dragon Ball as a medium in general, because you start off with, once again, with Kami, and, you know, at that point, you kind of thought that he was the god of gods. You know, he was the guy.
Yeah.
You know, because he was at the highest locale and on the planet, basically, you know, he's just the guy. And then from there, they introduced us to more gods and so on and so forth. But my thing is that at this point is Dragon Ball has kind of done a thing where they always kind of have to introduce a new being that has been stronger than the previous being. You know, they have to kind of do that. They've got to build on this hierarchy. So saying that Zeno, who's this guy that can basically eliminate all of the universes on a whim, okay, how can they introduce another god above him, or will they ever, you know, introduce another god above him that could actually, you know, be stronger than him? Because they have to kind of do that, because that's just the mantra for Dragon Ball. They've written themselves, like you said, into this location where, okay, you know what, we're not going to sidestep, we're just going to go up a level, and then up a level again, and then just so on and so forth from there. That's why I think, like, you know, I think that they kind of got to give the god thing a rest.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of these things where, like, it felt like at one point they were trying to deter slightly from it. Like, you know, they'd kind of thought, you know what, we have introduced a lot of gods over the last few years. Let's try and stray away. I know, we'll go in a different direction. We'll open other universes. And then they went, oh yeah, but what about the gods of their universes? Because, you know, they'll be on par with the other ones. And they were like, oh yeah, okay, that's a good point. And then, oh, but then we need a god of all of them. We need a ruler of all of them. So it's almost like they just kept going back into this circle that they've got themselves to this point now where they can't get out of it. Like, oh no, it's just something else. But I don't know. I mean, I think as far as somebody being introduced higher than Zeno or whatever they're going to actually name him from this point, I mean, the guy's like 2 foot tall, and he looks like the only thing he could really do is deliver you a bit of a nasty kick to the shin. I don't know whether they're, you know, planning on doing something with his attendants, because whether they're going to suggest that they're stronger than Whis and Vados, because I mean, realistically, if they're the attendants of him, then they should be, I suppose. But I mean, in terms of actual hierarchy, like, I don't know whether it's going to be one of these things where his father or something, or there was somebody there before him, like a previous Omni King or something. It's really difficult to say where they're going to go in the direction of. So unless they're going to plan on dropping someone else into it and go, this is going to be his replacement, because as we know, Whis had always sort of suggested that they were looking for a possible replacement for God of Destruction when Beerus kicks it. So I don't know. I mean, it could be that maybe at some point we'll see them introduce somebody to take his role and they'll lead on to be the next bad guy or something. But, you know, spitballing at this point, it's difficult to say because it's just such a saturated title that they're playing with. Who'd have thought that Dragon Ball would have been the only thing to make the title of God saturated?
Yeah, they've taken the value out of the word God just in general because it's so loosely used in this series, and a god is not really a god, you know what I'm saying? So it's just kind of, you know, interesting when you talk about Zeno exclusively because he's a guy, once again, that stands above all of these universes. He assigns these other gods their positions and all these other things. It's kind of outlandish to think that there could be somebody above him, but I agree with the sentiment. Maybe it was a predecessor, maybe it's a relative or somebody like that could be above him. I don't know what you would title that guy above, like an Omni King. What you would title that guy? A super Omni King? I don't know.
Pre-Omni King? I don't know.
Yeah, so I don't know, but I think that makes a lot of sense. But the hierarchy in Dragon Ball is just ever expanding with the gods, and then you touched on the sentiment I was actually going to bring up with the fact that there's gods in each universe, and you know they're other gods in other universes. It's just, there's so many goddamn gods in this show, or potentially so many gods that we haven't been introduced to. That's just kind of really all over the place. But Kanji, thank you for joining me on today's video. It was definitely a pleasure. I would love to, you know, continue to have you on the channel, bro.
No, absolutely, man. Thank you ever so much for including this. It's been great to work with you properly. Aside from that 2000 stuff special.
Yeah, no, definitely, man. So, like I said, guys, in the beginning of the video, Kanji here does some amazing content. You guys go check him out. His link will be in the description. Hit him up with the subscription over there, of course. And that is it for us, guys. We'll see you next time, though. Thanks for tuning in. Peace out.
Cheers.